Yeah, so Instagram is great, right? I mean, they're this super talented group of engineers. They're building this amazing product. They just crossed 100 million registered users. I mean, they're killing it. And the history of how this...
You are Kevin Systrom, and it is 2006 right now. You are a Stanford University student, and in your final year, a guy called Mark Zuckerberg says to you that he's working on an app called Facebook, and he would like you to join his team. You think about it, and eventually turn him down to go study photography in Florence. Yup, you actually do that. Your trip to Florence takes you into the world of aesthetic photography as you take images of pretty Italian cafes and pebbled streets. By the time you come back to California, you get a job at Google, but it turns out Facebook is worth hundreds of millions of dollars by now. Well, that sucks, but you keep pursuing your entrepreneurial dreams by trying to code apps on late nights after work. You're currently working at a startup, but you know that creating your own company is what you really want to do.
Instagram came out of wanting to be my own boss. I was like, you know what? I want to work for myself. I want to work on ideas. I really hope I'm going to make money.
So with the help of an old friend from Stanford called Mike Krieger, you make your first app for whiskey connoisseurs, where users can check into certain bars and share photos of the whiskey they are drinking. But this goes on to fail miserably, as you only attract 100 users. Meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg is the youngest billionaire in the world right now. This makes you wonder whether it is time to just get a normal job. However, you and your friend Mike meet up in a small breakfast cafe one day and discuss what went wrong with Burbn. You realize that people don't really want to share their location, but do like sharing photos of what they are doing. In fact, on Burbn, people would share photos of their house and dog, even though it was a whiskey app. This intrigues you, and after brainstorming with your buddy Mike, you decide to start a new app, which would purely be a photo sharing app, and call it Instagram. Fast forward 2 years and just 13 employees later, you sell the app to your old friend Mark Zuckerberg for a cool $1 billion. My name is Sahil, and in this episode of Mandora, we will talk about Instagram's first 2 years and exactly how it grew so fast. We will explain the square photos, the secret behind its unique filters, and the more recent phenomenon of influencers on the app. Let's go back to our breakfast cafe, where Kevin and Mike were discussing whether they should start Instagram. Kevin recalls how they had quite a few ideas, but Instagram happened to be in the right place at the right time. Because 2010 was just the start of the iPhone revolution, and the idea that phones could have good cameras was catching on.
Another lesson in this whole thing, timing is everything. Like, the number of amazing ideas and teams that either came too early or too late, it's like you gotta have that essential element of timing.
The two entrepreneurs spent the next couple of months coding the site and had a prototype ready to launch. A crucial innovation Kevin made that would separate Instagram from other photo sharing sites would be the introduction of the filters Instagram is famous for today. Notably, filters were not a part of Kevin's initial plan and came about after a casual conversation between Kevin and his wife. While the couple were walking on the beach, Kevin asked his wife whether she would like to use the new app they were developing. Kevin's wife said probably not, because she didn't like her photos compared to the high quality photos Kevin and his friends were taking. Kevin told her that his photos look enhanced because he was using professional filters designed for photographers. She went on to bluntly reply to him, "Why don't you add filters to your app?" A light bulb went off in Kevin's head as he realized that filters could be a unique selling point for Instagram. And therefore, he added a filter feature in the early version of Instagram.
Now my wife. And she said, I'm not gonna post photos unless I can make them look great, so you probably should add filters. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try making a filter.
The app was now ready and launched on the 6th of October 2010. The first photo on the site was a picture of Kevin's dog, and on the first day itself, 25,000 users joined the site, and traffic happened to be so overwhelming that both Kevin and Mike didn't make it home until 6 AM the next day. This time, they knew that they were onto something potentially huge. the app continued to grow fast and gained 1 million users in just a little over 2 months. Snoop Dogg and Justin Bieber also happened to be some of the first celebrity users.
We were sitting there watching us cross 1 million, and it was like, 999,999, and then it flipped to 1 million, and we were just like, did we just do that? Like, did it happen? Who is that person, and who are these people? I actually think we looked up who that person was.
But what made Instagram unique and better compared to the rest of the competition? Yes, it benefits from the network effects, which makes other social media apps like Facebook and Twitter great businesses, but what really separated Instagram was its simplicity. Instagram only allowed square photos and was purely a photo sharing app with few other features. Combining these square photos with the custom Instagram filters made photos on the app look much higher quality. Kevin recalls how users would come to them and say, "My photos seem to look much better now." Kevin and Mike identified a problem, which was that people did not like the photos taken by their mobile phone, and solved it in the simplest manner they could think about. In its own way, it was genius.
Number one was that mobile photos don't look so great, right? Like, we've all had that experience. You're seeing the sunset, you take a snapshot, and it looks like, washed out, you can barely see the sun, etc. And we were like, that's like the major problem we want to solve.
Kevin's experience of photography in Florence gave him the inspiration to make the filters and Instagram profiles look a lot more aesthetic than the designs of other social media sites at the time. Kevin even said in an interview, "I think the best products are usually built based upon personal experience from your past, and you never know exactly what parts of your past will come together to form that puzzle and be a product that you want to build for the world." Turning down Mark Zuckerberg in his final year and moving to Florence worked out after all. However, the Zuck started seeing Instagram in his periphery vision, and he sensed danger. Instagram was a few million users, while Facebook was reaching 1 billion at the time. But Zuckerberg knew from personal experience how quickly social media apps could grow, and he even went on to publicly acknowledge Instagram as a threat to Facebook.
And had such an intensity of using it. I think within a couple of weeks, 2/3 of students at Harvard were using it.
By the time 2012 came around, Instagram had nearly 30 million users, and Kevin notes that at times they were struggling with back-end infrastructure problems due to only having 13 employees. Zuckerberg saw this as an opportunity and offered $1 billion for the app, but he would keep it as a standalone application with Mike and Kevin still on board, rather than rebranding Instagram and turning it into a Facebook product. Kevin and Mike found the offer attractive, as they could still run Instagram while benefiting from the excellent back-end infrastructure and vital experience Facebook had, and therefore went on to accept the offer from Mark Zuckerberg.
When Mark Zuckerberg bought your company, he pledged to let you work independently. Has he lived up to that?
Mark has been true to his word and then some. Still to this day, Mark's interaction with the company basically is through meetings with me.
After failing with Burbn, the two entrepreneurs had built an emerging social media giant and sold it just within 2 years for $1 billion fee. Did Kevin and Mike take a rest and retire on an island? No, they continued to work with Facebook to grow the app on a global scale. And the growth was exponential, with the app going from 30 million users in April 2012 to 700 million just 5 years later. Instagram also gave rise to the influencer trend, where users with a significant following would start receiving relatively small sponsorships for brand shoutouts, and this trend is still growing strong today. However, it has also received criticism for the effect it has had on the mental health of its younger users, with online bullying and body image issues being prevalent on the site, which Instagram has tried to counter by offering features such as hiding the number of likes on an image, but arguably there is still a lot of work to be done on this issue today. Instagram now has over 1 billion users, and Facebook has probably made an incredible 100x its initial investment over the short period of 10 years. However, I want to focus this video on how Kevin and Mike initially failed with Burbn, but quickly learned from their failure to start Instagram. That is it for today on Mandora. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode today so we can keep producing quality content.